Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beyond Grad Show. I'm Varun Nigandhi, and back with you for a solo episode. Today, we are going to talk about how to create an interview winning resume. If you're joining me on LinkedIn or on YouTube, please add in the comment section of the platform. So if you're on LinkedIn, add in on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, add on YouTube who you are and where you're dialing in from. Any questions you have for the resume, please add them here as well. I will take them on as they come during the session. So let's get going. Today, I want to talk about how your resume is looked at during the entire job search process and how to create a resume that gets you interviews. My mentees have landed interviews at big companies like Meta, Google, Amazon, Oracle, State Street, McKinsey, Uber, etc., etc. The list goes on, and I will share some of the list in this class today. But all of them followed the tactics that I am sharing with you today. I already see somebody. There's Jaya who's watching from Pune. Hey, Jaya, nice to see you here. I know that there will be more people coming in who would be watching this stream. So please add where you are from and then also if you have any other questions during the session. So let's dig in. I hope you are able to see me and the screen that I have here. I am going to start presenting uh, the session right now. So the resume goes through a few paths in the entire job search process. The first path is the ATS system. So the ATS is essentially the application tracking software that companies are using. It might be Greenhouse, Workday, etc. A lot of people make a big deal out of the ATS. Is that, oh, how do I crack the ATS? As if the entire objective is not to land a job, but to crack the ATS. So they use a lot of funky tactics like white text on the resume and all these gamifications to make sure that their relevance in the ATS is higher. Guess what? Once you can even crack the ATS algorithm and rank higher, but if your resume is not good enough, it won't be selected for an interview because a recruiter or a hiring manager is still making the decision. So the ATS is still used to help the company kind of organize all the applications that come in, but it's mainly about the relevance of the role, or how relevant you are to the systems and features and variables that they have set internally. So forget about just trying to crack the ATS. Make sure that you are creating a resume which is applicable to the roles that you are creating or roles that you're applying to. And then it is readable by a recruiter or a hiring manager. And I'll talk a lot more about that. But that's one path that your resume is taking. Another path is a referee. So somebody who's referring you to a position. So even before you apply, if you're reaching out to this person, they are looking at your resume too. Their reputation is at stake. When they are referring somebody internally, they are thinking about whether my reputation will increase or decrease due to me taking this action. So they are looking at your resume as well. They want to make sure that they are reaching out or they are referring people that will help their company and help their stature. They are making sure that you are relevant to the role and whether you highlighted the points of impact. And then finally, the path of your resume is also the recruiter and the hiring manager. They are looking at the relevance that you have to the role, whether they are able to quickly identify the impact that you have made, and they are essentially hoping that you are the answer to their prayers. Recruiters and hiring managers have very hectic jobs. They want to get to a hire quickly. So if you help them help yourself, then you will be selected for an interview. That is the path a resume typically takes. It has the ATS system where it's shown A referee is going to make a decision using your resume whether to refer you or not. And then recruiters and hiring managers are looking at your resume to make sure that you are the right candidate to interview. So you want to make sure that your resume is rare. This is a framework that I've used, and a lot of people have followed that. I've gotten a lot of really good engagement on the posts also that I have written on this topic on LinkedIn. So, what does a rare resume mean? Trying to make sure that I can go to the next slide. One second. Give me a minute here. Okay. All right. So I know that you would like to have some kind of a foolproof or some kind of a social proof to kind of know, okay, yeah, this is the right tactic for you. Here are all the people who have landed roles or gotten interviews, one of the two. So software engineers, I've helped them get interviews at Meta, Oracle, PayPal, technical project manager, Apple, Sony, project manager, Amazon, Google. You can see the different companies that my mentees have landed a role. These are all my mentees who do one-on-one coaching with me, and you can see some of the names here. They do land interviews at really good companies that are maybe not even big brands, and but they are the right fit for them. So these are some of the social proof elements that where people have landed roles. I see another comment here saying hello. So nice to see everybody who is joining in. So, what is the rare framework? An interview winning resume is rare. It is number one, readable, number two, applicable, and number three, remarkable. It's like a flowing checklist. So, is your resume easily scannable by the reader? Are they able to get to the right things quickly? Once it is readable, it needs to be applicable for the role, especially in this market. Right now, the market is so tight that you need really high relevance to get called for an interview because there are enough people in the market that fit the minimum qualifications and the preferred qualifications of the role. I yesterday asked a recruiter, a big tech recruiter, whether you should apply for roles with 60% coverage of all the requirements if you are only fulfilling 60%. They mentioned something interesting. They mentioned don't reject yourself from the system, do apply for that roles, but make sure that you have your expectations set correctly because of the way the market is currently. And also, they shared something interesting, which is that don't go through a referral for this role. I'll say that again. Don't go through a referral for roles that you're only 60% fit because that referral's reputation is on the line as well. Unless the referral kind of says that, okay, I completely understand that you don't fit, but I think you are strong for this role and I would like to refer you. Great. Go ahead and do that. Just to kind of say that right now, applicability is extremely important in the job market. And then finally, remarkability. I spoke to a data analyst, sorry, a manager of data analysts. You can check the episode on the Beyond Grad Show. They mentioned how they were recruiting for 5 roles and they stopped the application process within 3 days because got so many applicable people that they already had like a group of people that they wanted to interview. So if people are closing applications in 3 days, it means that there are many applicable people for the role. But what sets you apart beyond applicability is remarkability. What are the bullets like? What kind of tools that you have experience in? Are you somebody who has done the work to understand how to create impact and share that impact, position that impact strongly in the resume? All of these are what set you apart, make you remarkable. So those are the three things. Your resume needs to be readable, applicable, and remarkable. Now, how do you do that, right? So first is readability. Do you know that there are two stages that a recruiter or hiring manager goes through when they are looking at your resume? Stage number one is stage of consideration. They want to kind of see whether you are fit for this role or not. This stage of consideration is about 7 to 10 seconds. That's it. It goes by in a flash. For in 7 seconds, they are just kind of putting you into a group saying, okay, yes, I need to read this resume deeper. Yesterday, another big tech recruiter told me that at the height, she was trying to get candidates for 15 open positions. Maybe it was 13. I forget, but 13, even 13 is a bonkers number. What it means that they are going to do this part of the application very quickly. They are going to get to the right people as quickly as possible. So you might think that, oh, who spends just 10 seconds? Trust me, all the recruiters that I've talked to have told me that they give only 7 to 10 seconds for the first pass of the resume to make sure that this resume is fit. And then there is another stage, which is the stage of consumption. That's where they spend like 30 seconds to 60 seconds reading your resume and making a quick call again to see whether they want to call you for the interview or the screening process. So it needs to be scannable. How can you do that? You want a lot of white space in your resume. I see a lot of resumes that are cluttered. People with 5+ years of experience trying to put everything in one page. It just clutters your resume and makes it very hard to read. Sometimes people use two-column resumes as well. And the two recruiters I've had so far on the Beyond Grad Show both have said thumbs down to the two-column resumes. It makes it hard for them to know what they should read. So ease up the margins, have more white space, avoid a long wall of bullet point text, have a readable font size, so 12 points or higher, keep the formatting simple and consistent. Like I said, don't crowd to fit in a one page resume, especially if you have 5+ years of experience. It's okay to have a two-page resume at that point. And try to differentiate the font style between the headings and the bullets, just to kind of make it easier again to read. You want to make sure that your resume again is readable first before anything else. Then comes applicability. You need to be applicable for the role that you are applying to. Now, a lot of questions about this in our recent Beyond Grad show is, okay, what should I put on the first page, right? Because the first page is your prime real estate. A lot of this decision is made on the first page. Second page is rarely changing anybody's mind. You should use it just to kind of make sure their first page has white space and you're not cramping everything in that. But the second page rarely changes opinions. If your first page, if they are going to invite you to an interview, second page is not going to disqualify you. If they're not going to call you for an interview, a recruiter mentioned that there are only specific, very niche use cases where they want a specific tool use. If that shows up in the second page, only then there is a chance to revert their initial decision of not to call you for an interview. So, how do you make the first page applicable? You need to learn the job description and you need to be specific about whether you are fitting for that job description or not. So, let's say take ways on how to improve applicability. If you have experience, lead with that right at the top. Okay, you can have a professional summary, but I see a big section then about of people sharing how they are excellent team players, how they have really good communication skills. You don't need a really big section of soft skills. Soft skills are hard to understand on the resume. You need that. It is important. You need to showcase that in the interview. But on the resume, it is hard for somebody to gauge if you are a team player. I do see people cluttering their first half of the first page where their resume experience kind of goes down in the lower part of the first page. Don't do that. If you have relevant experience, bring it up as quickly as possible because that is your strongest suit. Next, if you have a professional summary, and I like people having professional summaries, have them keep it 3 to 5 bullet points max. One bullet point can be about the years of experience that you have and the biggest frameworks or tools you've used. Another two can be about impact that you have created in your role that is specifically fit for the role that you're applying to. By the way, let me take a pause here. Anybody watching this stream, please add your questions as comments on the platform. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn, add your question in the LinkedIn comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, add your comment on YouTube. If you don't want me to bring your comment up, especially if you're joining us from YouTube to kind of be in the incognito mode, just say in short that anonymous or something like that. And I will just bring up the question. Cool. So if you have questions come up, just make sure that you add them here. We'll continue on how to make your resume be more applicable. Now, education. Education can go, especially if you're experienced, education can go at the end of the first page or on the second page. The ATS system will make sure that uh, it will make sure to highlight that you have the right qualifications or degree for this. And in most cases, if you have experience, people look at what your recent titles were and they can gauge whether you are a fit on education or not. So I would make sure that you use that prime real estate well on the first page. Now, let me add a caveat to this. So I'm helping somebody who is a principal product manager at Amazon, and they are somebody who studied at MIT. Now, if there is a huge name brand on your past education, I would put it on the first page just to kind of qualify you as a top performer because it's no joke to get into a big school or a big company like that. So you want to lead with that upfront. So that is a slight caveat on the education part. Finally, if your experience is tool heavy, let's say you are a data analyst and you have experience with Python, SQL, machine learning, etc., you want to, it's okay to add that above your experience, but try to be succinct and concise about it so that, again, if you have relevant experience, it's not going down, way down on the first page. We want to still lead with that, but it's okay to have skills before experience and after professional summary if your role is tool heavy, for example. And then finally, do not highlight soft skills on your resume. It does you no good. It takes up a lot of space. If you want to kind of add like all the frameworks that you've used in your work, like let's say if you are a project manager and you want to talk about all your certifications that you have, if they are not directly called out in the job description, then please have that on the second page. Yes, you still get a higher relevancy score in the ATS, or you will be more relevant to the role, but that is not your strongest suit. Especially things like team player, communication skills, you don't need to highlight that on a resume. Recruiters don't value it at written value. They want to see it at face value when it comes to screening calls and interview calls. Before I go on to remarkability, I see there is a question here, which is, are there any differences between how recruiting works in Canada versus in the US? Finding it difficult to get a job in the US given my visa status. strongly considering moving to Canada. There is no differences from the limited knowledge that I have on the Canadian side. I have 14 years of experience in the US, and all my one on one students have been in the US. I've had some group students that have applied to roles in Canada. From what I understand in that experience, and from all the other readers of mine on LinkedIn, I have 83,000 followers. A lot of them are from Canada, a lot of them talk to me via DMs. There is no difference between how recruiting works in the US or Canada. You just want to make sure that your resume is doing a really good job at highlighting you. And then you are trying to get visibility on that resume. It can be through having referrals, it can be through building relationships at companies that you want to work at. So, one thing is about creating a really good resume, and the other is getting visibility on it. That's the way that you land interviews. Awesome. Thank you for that question. Again, I'll ask people, whoever's listening, if you have questions for me, add that in the chat and we'll take them on. All right, moving on. So, one interesting thing is some people ask me, I have a lot of experience, lot of years of experience in my current role at the current company. I am getting like 10, 12 bullets. So that is becoming a wall of bullet. That is reducing your readability. But I can totally understand the position that you're coming from. One idea on how to divide that long bulleted text into something that is more readable and more applicable is by dividing them in sub themes, with the theme title being something which is a probably a minimum or preferred qualification in the job description. Let's give you an example. I am an automotive engineer. My initial experience, years of experience, was in the automotive engineering industry in the US. I was an advanced engineer doing 1D physics based simulation. What I did was I had a lot of bullet points for my recent experience because I was in research and development. I divided into sub themes that were applicable for the industry. So I would say internal combustion engines research or projects, and then I'll have 3 to 4 bullets under that. Then I'll have hybrid vehicle development or electric vehicle development, and 3, 4 bullets under that. And then finally, I would have something like computational fluid dynamics, and I'll have 3 to 4 bullets under that. That's a way to showcase a depth of experience at a current role without having it be a long wall of text and not be applicable or readable. Cool. The final part is remarkability. Now your resume is readable, you are applicable to the role, but still, how do you make sure that you are the one who is called for an interview? That's where remarkability comes in. That's where how you showcase your bullets, your experience bullets comes into play. I have seen almost everybody who has worked with me or who has shared their resume, 99.9% of the times, they are hiding their amazing experience behind jargon. They are not sharing what they actually did. They are clubbing a lot of experience under bullets. They rarely have any impact metrics, if they have any. So, this is where you stand out. Your resume bullets is where you stand out in the entire pool of candidates. Are your bullets showing impact? So I'll give you an example which showcases how a resume bullet transformation. I'll give you Next, I'll give you frameworks of different ways to write very good bullets. Then I will give you AI prompts to do 3 things. So, 3 AI prompts. One, review your resume according to the RARE principle. So, have your AI co pilot. I'm not talking about Microsoft Copilot in particular. I love Claude. I like ChatGPT. I like Gemini. All these tools can help you. So I'll share an AI prompt for how to evaluate your resume using the RARE principle, how to create metrics bullets. So bullets that are heavy on metrics or have metrics in them, and then how to tailor your resume based on a new job description. So there's a lot of amazing content still coming in. Before I go dive into that, I have another question here, which is I have a resume that I think is quite good, concise, crisp, and relevant. I can share it with you if you like. Still, I'm not getting many interviews, even with referrals, and personally reaching out to hiring managers. If you are, if you have referrals, and if you are personally reaching out to hiring managers, so aka you are getting visibility on your resume, but still you're not getting interviews, it boils down to two things. One, the quality of how you are presenting yourself in the resume. So that's the remarkability factor. And two, the kind of roles you are applying to. So even with referrals or personally reaching out to the hiring managers, if you are not fit for a role, if your applicability is low, especially in this market where there are enough people who fit all the minimum qualifications and the majority of the preferred qualifications, that might be a problem of why you're not getting roles as well. So, yes, feel free to share your resume. I can give you some pointers based on that. I do deep reviews of resumes inside my programs, and because of my bandwidth, I won't can't do deep resumes for people who just reach out, but I will make sure that I look at it and see if there is any suggestions, quick suggestions I can give you based on that. So it all boils down to the quality of the resume and the type of roles that you're applying to if you are getting visibility. Because the big thing is getting visibility, and looks like you're doing that already. I am, by the way, planning to do resume teardowns in a future solo episode where I will reach out and I will say, hey, if anybody is open to sharing their resume with me that I can tear down, then I will do that. So if you want to put your hat into the ring for it, just share your resume with me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I would like to be part of the teardown episode. So you can always DM me. It is free to DM. By that, I mean no in-mail credit is required. Send me a DM, say that I want to be part of a future teardown, resume teardown episode, and send me your resume, send me a job description that you would like to go for, and then I can tear that down in a future episode. And in the meantime, I'll give you some quick feedback as well. All right, let's see. Okay, let me continue then. So we were in remarkability. Let me go to an example of how remarkability can be improved with your resume bullet. So this is an example of an IT security analyst that I was helping. They had such a deep amount of experience, but if you would notice a resume bullet that they had shared, you would kind of not know what their experience was or the kind of work that they did. Now, some of you will look at this resume bullet and maybe roll your eyes saying, okay, this is obviously something that, okay, this is not a great bullet. I have better bullets than that. Trust me, I've helped people who've worked at the biggest organizations in this world. When it comes to resume bullets, we tend to use a lot of jargon to hide our experience and to hide the true impact of our work. So the example here is this was a resume bullet on their resume, which is assisted in development of and implementation of secure software applications, integrating industry best practices and security standards. By the way, a side note, a pro tip, anytime you want to look at your resume, read the bullet out loud. You will see whether you are doing a good job at sharing your story and impact if you read your bullet out loud. You will also you can put a hat. This is a very critical hat, but you can put a hat on and say, so what? Like read a bullet out loud and say, so what? It should mean something. It should make the reader understand, okay, what did you change? What did you improve? What challenge did you solve? It should have an impact on the reader. So I shared the before. Now let me share the after version. So this is after asking them a ton of questions, and I'll share the questions using the why, how, what method here. But the after bullet of this exact thing read as developed Java-based web application firewall to counteract malicious SQL injection attacks, resulting in an impressive 80% reduction in incidents. You see how the same project, they worked on the same project, how you present your bullet matters extremely highly. It is you who has to do that job of how you can convert your project into a really good story in the bullet section. So how did we get to this point, right? We got to this point by using the why, how, what framework. And you can use this internally. This was something that you will have to do. You can get AI to help you check it, help you make it better, but it has to come from within you because nobody is trained on your internal data. I was able to kind of make these prompts to them to kind of get to the nitty gritty, but that's something that you'll have to do for yourself, which is why did the company do this project? So, why, how, what? Why did they do the project? What was the technical reason of doing it? What was the business reason of doing it? So, they said that the company was seeing SQL injection attacks on their software by hackers. So, they wanted to secure it. Makes complete sense. They were losing money, they were losing time. Those are the business whys behind this technical reason. How did they correct this, or how did they solve the problem? What was the industry tool and practices you used? So they used a web application firewall to filter and monitor the incoming traffic. They used Java to build a code, and they set up regular code reviews and analysis. And what was the benefit of that work? So you talked about the why, you talked about the how, but what was the benefit? And again, here there is a technical benefit and a business benefit. The technical benefit was that they reduced malicious attacks by 80%. Now, if I would probe them further, or they would ask people involved in their project as to what that value was in terms of business sense or business value. Let's say there was more less downtime of the server or of the application. If they were losing hours, what is the dollar amount for that hours? That's a way to get closer and closer to the business value of the work that you are doing. And if you can add that in your resume bullet, that's even better. So if you look at the before and after here, you can see there is a night and day difference. The analogy I use is that of a diamond, right? Let's say you are the diamond, or you have experience that is worth its weight in diamonds. But if you are presenting that diamond as a rock on your resume, then it won't be as valuable. You have to do the work to cut that rock into a diamond and then present it. So, this is one method of how to kind of make sure you are converting the impact that you have made into really high quality bullets. So this is you trying to put everything in plain English, and you can definitely then use AI to help you go from plain English to a concise bullet. Before I share that exact prompt with you, here are different bullet frameworks. So I used the XYZ framework, which I'll share here. But there's a RAS framework, result action situation. Increase customer retention by 30%. Result by revamping user onboarding process and implementing personalized in-app tutorials. That is the action in response to a declining user engagement trend. That was the situation. Google XYZ framework developed a machine learning model, which is the X, uh, that improved customer churn prediction accuracy by 35%. So I think the format goes like accomplished X by doing Y that resulted in Z. You can interchange that, but there's a XYZ framework. Then there's AAR, action, achievement, result, or RBR, role, behavior, result. You see how you can do different things like you can do action situation, you can do action achievement, you can do role behavior, but you definitely want to do result in all of that. You need results to kind of showcase the kind of work that you have done. At this point, I will highlight again if there is anybody who's watching this live and want to ask questions to me, then please use the LinkedIn or the YouTube comment section to do that. It will come up automatically here in my streaming software. All right. So these are different bullet frameworks that you can use. But it all starts with plain English, right? You have to give the data that is in your head, data from the work that you have done in the past to really help yourself and help AI to give you your resume bullet in these different formats and frameworks. You can add metrics organically, and let me give you a AI prompt for that. So you can say that with any AI tool, I've used this with ChatGPT, I've used this with Claude. Nowadays, the reasoning models or the LLMs are so strong that it doesn't matter which tool you use exactly. Everybody has their own preference. Right now, my favorite is Claude, followed by ChatGPT and Gemini. Uh, I use things for different reasons, but for this resume work, any AI tool or any AI chatbot will help. You want to make sure you share with them the type of desired title and industry that you want to go in, what has been your title, your industry, and then you need to consider like the three levels of why, how, what, why the company did the project here, right? So there's a technical why, a middle why, and the high level why. You want to ask them to kind of attach your resume, suggest appropriate metrics for each bullet. So give me options and hypotheses for calculating that metric, and then you can always add the plain English why, how, what narrative. That is always a pro add to any of these AI prompts. Then you can ask it to give you 20, like I said, 20 quantifiable achievements demonstrating impact in your role. That is a way to organically see if you can add more impact metrics. Anytime you do the work of doing the why, how, what, with the what being the result that you've made, like what was the impact of that, of the work that you did from a technical standpoint, a business standpoint, you will be able to bring more of your impact metrics to the fore. One way to kind of review the resume that you have built is by using another rare prompt. I'll give you the theory behind it. You can screenshot this slide as well if you want to. I have written on this topic, so you can go to LinkedIn and you can search for Varun Negandhi rare framework, and it will be able to give you that as well. So the rare prompt, again, if you have any questions, I see a couple questions come in. If you have any questions, put them in the LinkedIn and YouTube comment section. So here again, you're sharing that I'm a current title going after a desired role. Here is my target job description. You definitely want to link and attach that so that we can know your applicability score. Here is my resume. I want you to run a thorough analysis of my resume using these three steps. Step number one, rate the first page on a scale of 5 using Varun Negandhi's RARE framework. So there's a link here that you can use. Be balanced with a lean towards critical, as this market is quite competitive. And then if the AI tool is not being able to kind of find the RARE framework, you can always copy paste the framework from the link that I have shared here. So it will do that. It will rate the first page of your resume on a scale of 5. This has been eye opening for everybody who's done this, because what you thought would be a stellar resume may not be the best version that you have created yet. The next thing that you are asking AI to do is to reorganize or resize section. So using the RARE framework, tell me how you would reorganize or resize the sections of the first page of my resume to improve readability and applicability. And then finally, we will hit on the remarkability, which is transform each of my bullets using the XYZ or RAS framework. Keep it under 300 characters. Use the highest tier of Bloom's taxonomy for the action verbs. It's a framework for really strong action verbs that you use to kind of start a bullet with. And make sure each bullet is a micro story of the why, how, what of that part of the project, and has either a technical metric or a business metric or both. Now it will help you do that as long as you are also providing it with ammunition. The ammunition meaning your resume. If you a pro tip again is to add your why, how, what, and then your job description like link or attached, and then it will help you get to a really good resume. Before I move on to how to tailor the resume, I'll take a question here, which is it advisable to apply for multiple relevant roles at the same company? You can absolutely apply to multiple relevant roles, relevance being the key part. So, anybody who's a recruiter at a company can go in and look at all the positions that you have applied to in the past, and with that they can able to kind of see if there is a story that you're trying to create and you're not applying to positions haphazardly. So yes, it is advisable to apply for multiple roles. Now this is a great segue into this particular slide that I have, is that you want to tailor your resume based on the role that you're applying to. Now, this can be a time consuming process. So, to make sure that you are able to do it faster, I'm going to give you an AI prompt. Now, this AI prompt is going to take advantage of all the work that I have shown with you in this session. So, here you can use I'm applying the following job. So you have to start with the job description, of course, and then your attached current resume. Now, this can be your master resume, which has probably more bullet points, more information than you would probably use, or this can be your most optimized resume, whichever one that you have handy can work. You are asking them to tailor the resume. I think there are 4 steps that you can use here. So, one, you want to ask AI to highlight the most relevant experiences, skills, technical keywords based on the job description. The reason being, the final pass will still be yours. You will still the final review of the output of AI will still be human. You have to decide what their suggestions are, whether you want to take them on or not. So that's why this step, which is highlight, look at the job description, highlight the top experiences, skills, and tools that are required. Now, rewrite or replace bullet points to better match the responsibilities and qualifications. There are many things that you're doing in the project. Not all of them can be put into resume bullets, otherwise, it would be a multi page document. But there might be fit places where different keywords fit for the same kind of the bullet. So this is where that can help. The next is a customized summary. So you already have a professional summary at the top. Suggest a customized three bullet summary section that applies to this role. So you can again choose to whether take that customization on or not. And then finally, gaps. So you won't be applicable to all the roles out there. So you want to identify any gaps or missing elements that you should address that are not part of your resume currently. Again, if you have many years of experience, you can't really fit everything, but it can highlight gaps where you can be like, oh, yeah, I have done that. Let me add a plain English why, how, what for it, and then ask it to create a bullet for me. So that is also a key part of this, which is identify gaps or missing elements that I should address. And then you can again give it the constraint, which is keep the tone professional, concise, achievement oriented. Bullets either use Google's XYZ or RAS framework. Keep it under 250 to 300 characters. I know I sometimes use 250, sometimes 300. You can judge based on that. Start with the best action verbs, prioritize clarity. For overall resume philosophy, use Varun Gandhi's RARE framework. So that's another way to essentially help you tailor your resume. Now, I think at this point, I have a couple big questions that people generally ask that I will answer. But if you have any questions, please, again, like I said, add them in the comment section of wherever you're joining us from. Cool. So that's the essentially the rare framework that I wanted to share with you. So we to kind of summarize this entire session, we started by sharing how the resume, what is the path of the resume in the job application process. The ATS system, you don't want to over optimize for it. If you have a relevant resume, you will screen through the ATS. The main part are the people involved. One type of person involved is the referee who is referring to the role. You want to make sure that they like your resume, and then the recruiter and the hiring manager. How you create an interview winning resume is by using a rare framework. Rare meaning R for readability, A for applicability, and RE for remarkability. So you want to make sure it's readable, then it is applicable to the role. And we talked a lot about how you want to use your impact to be remarkable in this process. We talked a lot about one page resume, two-page resume, etc. And I then shared three AI prompts. One prompt on how to add impact metrics, another prompt for how to review your resume using the RARE framework, and that's another AI prompt you can use. And then finally, how to tailor your resume using this AI prompt. So you can leverage AI, but at the end of the day, you need to feed information that is specific to you, that is individualized, that is based on your experience. And that you can use by doing the why, how, what framework. So you can look at projects, you can look at subsections within a project and say, why did the company do that? How did I execute it on it? And what was the impact of my execution? That will give you a plain English paragraph for each resume bullet that you currently have on your resume. And then you can use AI to help you give a concise version of that, or probably two or three bullets from a big paragraph or a one page why, how, what. So that is how you can create interview winning resumes. Now, before I leave, I want to kind of share a really good second test that you can do with your resume. So, one test is the AI prompt, right? Which works great. It gives you a rating, it gives you solutions, suggestions, which is awesome. You can also do another test, which is more visceral, which will give you a gut feeling about where your resume is currently. And it's what I call a 30-second test. I want you to print two documents. One is the target JD, and two is your current resume. And yes, I said print. I know I like recycling. I don't want to print unnecessary stuff, but for this test, follow me and just print these two things that I am asking you to do. At least if you want to avoid printing the job description, that's okay. But you definitely want to print the resume. First, I want you to look at the job description from the eyes of the recruiter at that company. How would the recruiter say, what are the main things that I want to look for in the resume? You want to kind of get into the shoes of that recruiter. Second step is after being in the shoes of the recruiter, you want to make sure that you look at your resume, start a timer of 30 seconds, nothing more, nothing less. In that 30 seconds, I want you to highlight everything that the recruiter will align with this job description. Notice one, how soon the 30 seconds go away. And like I said, sometimes recruiters don't even give that to make sure that you are fit for that role or not. Two, where on that page did you find the exact keywords, especially for the technical qualifications, the years of experience, etc., etc.? Where did you find that on the resume? Were they on the top? Were they on the bottom? Where was it? How many things have you marked? Is it 10% of the first page, 90%, 50%, whatever the number is? All of these questions are giving you a gut feeling, giving you an intuition of how the recruiter is viewing your resume. And then finally, I want you to consider this question, which is if you, somebody who created this resume, in knows in and out of that resume, whatever you marked in 30 seconds, you were able to mark because of that. If there was a fresh reader who was looking at your resume for the first time, what would they able to take away in the 30 seconds during this test? I highly recommend people go through this 30-second test to see whether they are really showcasing that they are the fit for the type of target roles that they are going after. That would be an amazing eye opener. Like I said, a gut feel of where you are. And then you can use all these other types of techniques like the rare resume, the why, how, what technique, all these different resume bullet frameworks to improve your resume and to make sure that you're called in for an interview. That's all from us today. Thank you so much. If you are watching this live or you're watching a recorded version of this, I'm Varun Gandhi from Beyond Grad. You can get an access to a lot of these amazing tools that I talked about today by signing up for free on beyondgrad.com. I do work one on one with really special situation, unique people, top performers, individual contributors, people managers who are going after their next leap job. So you can find more information about that at beyondgrad.com/job/dash leap. Those are the places that you can go. At the very least, if you want to just say hello or ask a specific question or want to follow more of the advice that I share, I'm active on LinkedIn. I write posts daily. You can DM me for, you don't need any email credit. DM me if you have questions or if you want to see if we can work together, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for viewing this, attending this. Hope it was helpful in getting you to create an interview winning resume. I wish you all the very best in your job search as you go on to try and land the role that you deserve and you are aiming towards. Good luck. Thank you. Signing off.